want to welcome you guys in the sustainability industry. And so we do have some phenomenal experts. So I just want to preface this, that I come to you guys as somebody with a passion. So this is not my background. This is my passion, working around sustainability. And what we're going to talk about today is really why this is a topic at all, right? For us over here, talking about it from a business standpoint. So we're going to kind of jump into that. And then we're going to kind of start talking about some quick things that you could do. And just a little bit of a background about why this is something that I'm so personally passionate about is, number one, I grew up with an environmental engineer dad, so there was kind of no choice. And back in the 80s, we started recycling in my small town in Alabama, and nobody even knew what it was, guys. It's really funny, I laugh. And the number two thing is just, again, having traveled the world as I've been blessed to do, and see the impact that we're having and understanding the data. This has definitely become something that this very much near and dear to my heart. And we'll talk a little bit at the end about it when I let Diane come on and talk more about Go for the Greens. And so I've been a part of that organization, and I am truly honored to serve right now as the chair of sustainability for the event. So with that, we're going to jump in and talk about all of this good stuff. So again, where we're going to go today is really this topic in this conversation about what sustainability is, and coming from my thing, I don't know if you guys know, but my business is all about the why. So I always am about helping you answer why, no matter what why you're asking. So we're going to talk a little bit about why you should be doing it, jump into some things, and really get the conversation going. So let's start with this why. Like, why should we really be doing this? Why is this something that should be so, oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I would stop that right in the middle. Why should this be so important to all of us? Well, really, it's showing up on the agenda of your prospective clients. And any of you who saw the lives that I did today, you would have seen that if your customers or your potential people you want to do business with have a sustainability statement or have sustainability initiatives, then I can tell you, you need to have it as part of your business strategy as well. So that's sort of really your main why, looking at who you want to do business with. But before you start, one of the main things to keep in mind, and again, I want to talk about this from a perspective of just reality, right? I mean, not everything is an opportunity for every size business. And, you know, I'm a solopreneur, I work from home. And so there's obviously there's things that I can still do to practice sustainability in my own home and in my business. So that just sort of gives you sort of an idea of where we're going to go with this conversation. So you're going to have to do what strategically works for you and your business, and what will align with your customers' expectations, right? So again, we want to talk about reality here, right? You know, not everything, you can't do it all. Like, I used to always live in a condo. I couldn't have done composting before. It just wasn't something I was allowed to do in a condo. So we understand that. And that's really the kind of the thing that I want you guys to talk about here, that foundational piece. So what we're going to cover, again, a little bit more about that why and that what is the conversation, and why should this all matter to you right now? And then we're going to look at some implementation, 3 areas to start with in your business right now, and then some next steps, some things that you could be doing. So what does it all mean? I know we hear this word, we throw this word around a lot, right? It's like so many things, but what does it really mean? And I'd love for some of you, I know we've got some experts out there that are joining us today, and you guys know, so feel free to jump in if you have, you know, write something in the chat, let us know what your thoughts are. But just from a true, you know, get down to what it truly is, it is about meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs, right? So this is all about what we do now and the impact we can have on future. So I just love that when I saw it. And you may have to move some things around. A lot of people may not realize that there are actually 3 pillars around sustainability when we talk about it. And it gets into obviously the environment, but also this concept of a sustainable economy and a sustainable society, right? And so sustainability covers a lot of things. And for any of you out there who have ever heard about a B Corp certification, if this is something that you might be interested in, this is really what B Corp comes about, and we can drop some information in there. And I know, I believe Andrea, and we've got another WB that has been doing some consulting in that area. She might not be doing that now. So, but that is definitely something. So again, it's about how it all comes together, right? A sustainable economy, looking at our society and the environment. And that's really what sustainability is all about. So here, let's talk about this why. Again, I'm the why coach, guys. I always, again, everything comes back to the why for me. Why is this important? Why should you do it? Well, there's two main reasons: your employees and your consumers, right? And even if you don't have direct employees, you may have contractors like a lot of us are. Right now, we know people want to work for companies that have both inclusive and sustainable business practices. You've heard more and more as the last generation and the new generations are coming. And I know even those of us here on the phone, right? I mean, it really matters to work for a company that has the same belief system we have and that we know is out there trying to live the better good and do the good thing. And so that's one reason. The other, of course, is your consumers. You know, whether you believe it or not, and I actually did some research. This was fascinating to look even at the impact throughout this past year in the pandemic. And yes, there was, but still most people are still loyal to their brands. And if they were buying things to be earth friendly and to be more sustainable, they still did it. It's just not something people were willing to compromise. And so they want to buy from companies they know, like, and trust, right? We say this, and that you're a good corporate citizen. And so again, these are some reasons to work on this. And we're going to talk a little bit about how you can share. The other thing that we just mentioned is if you're trying to do business with both corporate and government. And a lot of people may not know that I come from Walmart. That's sort of where I got my start in working in supplier diversity. And I can tell you right now, when Walmart came out with their sustainability initiatives, and any of you who've done business with corporates like Walmart, you know that they want to know what you're doing because it rolls up into the impact they're having. And so that's really important. And the same from governments. If an entity that you're trying to work with has sustainability initiatives or has statements or things, you're going to want to be aware of that because that's going to impact you. And more, we're going to see this coming, right? Even if they don't now. It was so interesting. I tell this story, and this was actually from 2 years ago now, of being at an event. Andrea was there. It's actually where I met her. And we had somebody there from a hotel chain, and just talking about, even in that perspective of everything they buy, everything, even if it's services, it all comes back to the impact they're trying to have and what they're reporting on. So it doesn't matter what you offer and what you buy. You need to have this as something to keep your eye on. So let's talk a little bit about this idea of implementing. And we're going to look at three things, kind of three ways that you could start implementing sustainability into your business. We're going to talk about the supply chain. We're going to talk about what you could be doing internally in your operations, and this concept of that it can be a two-way street. So again, no matter where you are, because we've got all size businesses, we've got everything from, you know, little old solopreneur over here to Terry Lehman on the phone. That is a very large business, right? So we've got everything in our membership. So I'm going to try to have this conversation no matter where you might be in your journey. So let's talk about this idea of a supply chain review. Whether you make or sell a product, or if you only provide services, you can look at your supply chain. This is something you can do. So if you have a product, and a lot of you may know this, and if you don't, you know, this is the time to be doing it, but go all the way down. When you look at a supply chain, you're looking at every piece that it comes to make that product. Where does it come from? How is it made? Who produces it? What are their products, right? Their practices, the whole thing. So it may seem a little overwhelming, but I'm going to tell you right now, do your homework now, especially if you are going to have a product that you're going to try to sell into. And if Carmen were here, she would tell you from a retailer perspective, they're going to ask, they're going to want to know the sourcing of that product and where it's coming from and the impact you're having from sustainability standpoint. So that's the first thing, looking at where that product comes from. Now, if you have a service, you may say, well, how does that happen? Well, think about it. What do you use to provide your service? All right. What is it around you in your space? What kind of tools, what kind of things do you have to do to provide your service? So say you're a printing business, okay, that's a service. There's a lot of things that you're using in your supply chain to produce your printing. And I love the fact that I actually have some games, and I wish I could remember where this WBE is from. I found them in different places, but there is a member of WeBank that makes children's games, and she used plant-based dyes, and they're beautiful games, number one. But I love to buy her products. Not only are they amazing games, but I know, like, she talks about where all of the packaging come from and the recyclability of it, and there's no glossy things, you know, all this stuff, and the dye that is used. And so those are different things that you can be thinking about. So again, that's a product, but even if you have a service. So for example, looking at what I do, right? Looking around about, you know, how much energy I'm using, which we'll talk about later. All of the different things, you know, what am I doing with my ink when I'm done, you know, right? So there's a lot of things that you can look around just in your office space that is part of your supply chain. I tell a story on behalf of Nancy, actually, of just talking about, we're consultants, right? We go out and we do work. And she was going out and using paper to take notes, right? And all of a sudden it dawned on her that, you know what, this might be a practice I want to change. It's something I do use. It's part of my service. I sit down with you and I take notes. And so she started to challenge herself on, and went out and got a tablet. Diane knows this, and wanted to challenge herself to not use paper. And she still, I laughed when I was we were putting this together last week, and I said, you know, how are you coming on that? And she says, well, I still have a little bit of paper, but I have a lot less than I had before. So another example of just how you can think a little differently. So look at those supplies. Who do you buy from? Where do they source their items? And I know, again, this can be difficult, but this is where it could be great that you look into our community and our network, because I know somebody's going to know somebody of where you can get sustainable, you know, products and services and things like that if you're needing. So you don't have to go this alone. That's the other thing. Don't let this stuff overwhelm you. But it is something that you need to start putting in your mind if you haven't already. Okay, so let's talk about internal operations. And this one, you can have a lot of fun here. So we're thinking about if you have a building or an office space, right? So what are you doing to be energy efficient in your space? Like, think about this. And it's so interesting. I think more companies probably thought about this because of the pandemic and people were getting sent home than before. I've been in a really interesting position, I think, with most of my positions over the past 20 years, where I traveled consistently. And at one of the jobs that I did that, it got so bad that our desks had dust on them. And the office, even then, and this was back at Walmart, started reevaluating this space, this whole floor of offices sitting empty, with the lights on and everything going. And it kind of came up because at the time I remember talking to one of our sustainability managers, and that's really what started it. And then they started evaluating the fact that, why do we pay? Why are we using energy? Why are we doing all this stuff to have space nobody uses? And so there's two sides to that, right? There is the cost, but there also is the impact that they're having. And so you can do that as well. Like, I know, looking in my own office space, making sure I turn off the lights when I'm not in here, making sure I turn off my computer, right? There's small things that you could be doing because it's all energy consumption. Office services and practices. Do you have recycling available? You know, there could be simple things. So again, you don't have to make this overwhelming. Start small. And I'm sure our colleagues on the call today that are in this space, again, would say the same. You got to start somewhere. And so if you can offer recycling, do it. Put it in there. But I'm gonna put that call out there. Make sure you train people how to do it properly. make sure they know what they're using. And I'll give you a really good example. My daughter goes to what's called an eco-conscious awareness school. And what's been great about it is that I've learned a lot about recycling, like my milk jugs, and that I can't do the caps. And so they've made sure that they have not just educated the children, but sent things home so that we know what we're doing and that complete impact. So, have that available. Then there's also some other fun things that you can do. If you have a coffee station, don't use paper mugs. You can encourage everybody to have their own mugs and or supply mugs. I know a lot more places that you're going, they do that. And so again, it's looking at all of the different things. So taking that time to look around your space and see what you could be doing. Now, again, a lot of us are working from home, but you could still be ensuring that you are having some of these practices here, right? Like I have recycling at home. Other things to think about. Do you travel? Okay, I know a lot of us haven't been traveling this year, but travel's going to start picking up here. I've seen, I don't know how many people I know, including us, are going to be hitting the road come June and getting out there and traveling. And so, there's things that you could be looking at. There is an association, and I will definitely look it up. And I don't know if Andrea remembers it. And sorry to keep calling out your name, but there is some groups out there that talk about traveling sustainably, whether it be utilizing your little bottles or different things. There are so many products. There's even chewable toothpaste. If any of you who went to Go for the Greens a couple years ago, we talked about that. So there's so many things that you could do to make your traveling a little less impactful and a little bit more sustainable. So definitely think about travel. If you drive, there's also this concept. And again, I think a lot of us are rethinking this of, now that we've had COVID and we've had an opportunity to do things like Zoom and to see how they work. Is it worth your time to be on the road for 8 hours or whatever for a 2-hour meeting? I think these were things we were all doing. And maybe now we're going to be rethinking that. Okay, so let's talk about this other part. It's a two-way street, and I love this idea. So when you talk about a two-way street, it's the influence that you can have. So again, think about this. This isn't you don't have to do all of this. If you did all these things, that would be great, but pick and choose some things that you can do. So think about if you have employees or maybe even contractors like us. So for example, Nancy's saying that she was going to work on her paper actually inspired me to do the same, right? So she did one thing to change her business practice that then impacted me wanting to do something to change my business practice, right? So think about that. So providing resources, training, how can they take these things home? When I was at Walmart, and again, guys, this was a million years ago now, and especially in the sustainability world, Diane knows that's when she met me. It was in the early 2000s. But even then, they offered the opportunity for us to get recycling bins from them to learn how to recycle. If you didn't have recycling in your town, because I will say this was in Arkansas in the early 2000s, we did not have it everywhere, to bring your recycling in and have a station where we could do it, right? So they incentivized us, and the more that they did challenges amongst the teams and all of that. So incentives, competitions, things that they can be doing, composting, right? I mean, have somebody come in and teach about that and then encourage them to do it at home. So there's some fun things that you could do with this. And also doing competitions where you can have your employees help you out. Have them submit ideas to you. They are the ones in your space. They are the ones out there representing your business. So they may have some ideas of other things that you can do, and really call that out. Maybe even hold a competition where they can submit some things that you could be doing. The same for customers. I know number one, go specifically to coffee shops and things, and a lot of places I go to here in St. Augustine because of these initiatives and things they do. And so for example, I've got a favorite place I love to inhabit that is going to be having our first in-person beach cleanup. And I was all over that. I was like, oh my gosh, get to have a cup of coffee and go clean up the beach with people from this local business, right? So that's a really great thing and they said everybody who comes out gets a free cup of coffee. So, it was a win-win. So share what you're doing. Make sure people know. Run rewards programs, offer incentives. And teach. I think that's the other thing is share as much as you can about what you're doing, and be that example, be that leader out there doing all of these great things and really helping others learn how they can take it. So this two-way street, all of this stuff, you guys, you could have fun with it. And I think that's the big part here is that I don't, and none of us on the team, and anyone out there, when you come to Go for the Greens, it is all about how that you can find the enjoyment and the fun, and make this something that's good for your business and good for you, as well as good for the environment. So let's talk about these next steps. And so there's kind of two things that you want to do from here, right? So number one, you've kind of thought about what it is, why you need to do it, and some things that you could do. Now you want to really write a strategy. And again, think about it from your perspective. Don't let it overwhelm you. If you're like me, I have strategy. We have things that we do here. Even if it's as simple as making sure we leave our shoes outside so I don't have to be vacuuming all the time, right? It can be something so interesting. But again, just determine that strategy, write it out, start working on it, and then outline your sustainability statement. So let's talk about that. Strategy. Look at the triple bottom line, and you've heard this probably before: profit, people, and planet, to ensure your strategy keeps your business profitable. We understand that. Okay. At the end of the day, we know your business has to make money, right? You have people, you have individuals and your own family, whatever, leaning on you. So we get that. So you can look at that and see how you can do this. And one of the things that I know myself and any other people out there in this field would tell you guys, we're going to challenge you that at the end of the day, you're going to see a positive impact to your bottom line if you do this. So just think about this. Like, think alone if you changed out having to buy paper cups and you encouraged everybody to either bring their own cup or provided reusable cups. Right there, you're saving money. Something so simple, a quick little change. I will even say, not using coffee filters, right? I mean, again, it may seem simple, but I don't use a coffee filter, and so that's one expense I don't have anymore. And it may not seem like much, but I drink a lot of coffee, guys. So it all can save. So think about it from an environment standpoint and a society standpoint. What impact can your business have in the environment and in society? And then really think about this strategy. And again, you don't have to go all in. You don't have to jump in right away. You can do baby steps. You can take your time. You can try something, see how that works, try something else. But the strategy is just like any other business strategy. It's saying, we have a goal, we have an initiative we want to get to. Right now, we're going to try this for this month. We're going to try that for next month. We're going to add this. We're going to maybe run a competition. We're going to look at that. And especially if you're doing stuff around sourcing of your product, you're probably going to have to bring in some experts and some other people. But the idea is, like anything else, is you need a goal, a smart, measurable goal, and to get out there and get the strategy. Okay, so let's talk about a sustainability statement. And I'm just going to touch briefly on this. We have been talking about this, and we are definitely going to do it where we're going to have a session just talking about how to write a sustainability statement. But think about this. How many of you guys, I'm sure out there, you can put in there when diversity all really started to become bigger and bigger. I know in the early 2000s, everybody was being asked to write your diversity statement, right? You had to write about your commitment to diversity. This is similar. This is the same thing. So again, it doesn't have to be overly complex, but the key is to have one, because if they haven't asked now, many companies will start asking for you to submit this in the future. And so I'm going to actually pop out here and show you a couple of examples of what this can look like. And hold on just a second. So you guys hang in there with me. I'm going to go over to the messy desk here. That is my world. And oh, sorry, guys. Hold on. Now see, Emily, it's catching. I have a delay. Oh, I apologize, guys. Here we go. Okay, so I was going to show you guys. Well, I had it all planned, and of course now it's not here. Where did it go? Oh my gosh, I apologize. Well, okay, we're gonna skip that. I had it all called up and now that page is not showing. So anyway, all right, guys. So my apologies. We're going to, what I was going to show you is just a couple of sustainability statements, but for some reason they have disappeared from my computer in the midst of everything else I was doing. So what I will tell you guys is just that sustainability statements, again, are no different. And I think looks like we've got somebody here that might have, oh yeah, put a statement out there. So we'll make sure we send some links to show you that later. So again, so sorry, I'm not sure where that went to. So let's get back over here and kind of pick up where we left off.
Right. And I want to remind people that if you have any questions or comments, put them in the chat and then Stephanie can address those at the end of the presentation.
Absolutely. So once again, a sustainability statement is literally your statement of commitment to sustainability. And if you go on websites, Disney, CSX, a lot of the companies that are part of Go for the Greens, they all will have those on their website. So it's just showing your commitment. And so it's similar to your mission statement, or if you have a diversity statement or inclusion statement, something like that. Okay, so I know I kind of went through this a little quick, but I wanted to leave time because I also wanted Diane and I to talk a little bit about Go for the Greens. But here's what we talked about today. And we will be sharing the presentation with you guys. So again, understanding what it is and why you should do it, and then looking at from there. So go out there, look at who you want to do business with, who you are doing business with, and look at what their beliefs are and what their passion is. And if sustainability is showing up in their conversations, you definitely will need to add this into your business. Implementation, there were 3 areas we talked about there, from your supply chain to looking at your internal operations, and then looking at that two-way street of communication with your employees and your customers. And then this idea of what's next, which is writing a strategy and working on your diversity statement. Okay, so yeah, I kind of went through this. So final thoughts. When sustainability is viewed as being a matter of survival for your business, I believe you can create massive change. So again, this is all about mindset. We talk about that a lot at the WBDC, about getting your mind around this. And that can be one of the hardest things for a business that may not be doing anything right now. And especially if you have a product and you realize, this could feel daunting. But when you change that mindset and you realize, I have to do this, this is important, this is actually going to be the key to success for my business in the future, it really is going to change the conversation you have going on. Okay, so I'm going to let Diane come on here with me, and we want to talk to you about Go for the Greens and what we do with that. And so let me get out of this, Diane, and get you on here. There we go. Okay. So that we can talk about this a little bit more. So we're all here back. And again, I know I went through that kind of quick, but we just wanted to start touching on things. So Diane, can you tell everybody who maybe not know about Go for the Greens?
Sure, Steph, thanks. So Go for the Greens is a nonprofit, and we've been partnering with WeBank Florida and WeBank and Women Presidents Organization and Sustainable Florida for a long time. We are about to go into our 14th annual conference, which is September 23rd through 25th at Walt Disney World. Go for the Greens is based on 4 pillars, and it's all for women business owners. The first pillar is growth, so that's green. That's one green. The second pillar is sustainability, and that's our heart. We all are really into the sustainability piece. The third is teaching women how to play golf and use that as a business tool. So we're out on the greens there. And then the fourth is one that we added in more recent years, and that is teaching young women who are in high school and college who are still green, teaching them how to be women in business and step into their power. So this conference is not for beginners necessarily. I mean, if you are, you can come and just try to stay up to speed and catch up. But this is for women who are like you in the audience, who are already in business, already successful at what you do, and we help connect you with corporations and government agencies and nonprofits that you can do business with. So we have a one piece that is all about the matchmaking between your company and the corporation. And then the sustainability piece, and Steph is in charge of this, along with Tim Center, who is the executive director of Sustainable Florida. The two of them work side by side to come up with programming for us, but also to make sure that our conference stays as green as we can. So Steph, if you want to address that, maybe.
Yeah. So again, it's looking at sustainability from everything. And I think that's where creativity, when you talk about innovation, and I loved actually that this topic followed our month on innovation because they go hand in hand. So when you're approaching sustainability, you do want to kind of take a step back and then look at the whole picture. So like Diane said, looking at not only what programming we're going to offer for our attendees, but also, what else we could be doing, and some perfect examples. And of course, we're at Disney. And so a lot of you know that this is something, they have recycling, they have a lot of different things. But even, for example, at our last conference that we had, we see constantly things that we could be changing. So again, paper cups were offered. So next year, we're going to ask them not to offer paper cups, and paper napkins, all those kinds of things that we can look at to be more sustainable. And there's also some fun things that you can do. I've been to a couple of conferences up here in St. Johns County, and where we've got, a few businesses that really focus on this and some really fabulous initiatives. And they had fun with it. They actually put out, like, for example, straws. And I know, everybody out there, straws, not straws. Okay, well, Terry can talk to us about straws, but
Yeah, Terry Lehman's company supplies, right, sustainable paper products. And so Terry's one of our members in South Florida who's on with us today too. So paper straws, those are really important to us, you know.
yes. So
And
I'm sorry, Diane.
yeah, go ahead.
No, what I was going to say, so we went to this conference, and what they did, and it was kind of just more of an awareness factor, right? So they put the straws out, which we were at a sustainability conference. So everybody was like, and they said, which one is the best one? And, and it had a few different choices, sugar cane and paper and all that kind of stuff. Well, the actual thing is they were all good. But it got the conversation going, and it made people, talk a little bit more about something they didn't know. And so, like everything else, find the fun in it. And I know we've talked maybe about doing something like that even at the Greens conference, and looking at how we can do it. So there's so many different things that you can do. I also want to talk a little bit about doing your homework and your research on other ways. For example, I am doing some work up here with the Florida Beverage Association, and they have a bottle back program. And so there's just a lot of different things. I know we're looking at, the plant-based, products. We're looking at some of the giveaways that we do this year. So, and we have a lot of different businesses that can help with that.
Steph, I think it's so interesting to look back at when we first started Go for the Greens, and we had Walmart come in and talk to us. And so they were the first corporation that I was aware of that was saying that their supply chains were going to have to start going green.
Yeah.
And you were involved with Walmart right before then, and actually, turned us on to that and let us know. And the funny thing was, during that first conference, one of the first things we were talking about was people who were really into Starbucks. And so they would have, 27 of their employees going over to Starbucks next door 3 times a day to get coffee. Well, instead of having all of those paper cups, they had cups made with everybody's names on them, and they would go and carry trays. And these CEOs, these women CEOs, are telling us how they're carrying a tray back, for their employees as a treat, and things like that in the first conference. But look how far we've come. And now we're talking about things like well, I know another time we talked, UPS was talking about how they were becoming more sustainable. If you guys don't know this, every time they map out their routes, they do it with right turns only, so that their trucks use less gas. They don't have to stop at a red light and wait to turn left. So that's, when you watch the trucks, you watch them, it's pretty fun. So things like that maybe you don't even think about. How much time do we all spend sitting in traffic with our cars, right? Maybe not right now during the pandemic, but soon. So
Um,
yeah, it's kind of fun to watch how the conversation evolves.
right.
And you just have to jump in wherever you can.
Yeah, and I want to do a little plug even in here. I'll talk about the Growth Shift membership, and I'll throw a little teaser out there. But any of you that are members of the Growth Shift, and if you are a WBE, you do get that complimentary. But Nancy found some phenomenal videos that she shared, and one of them that got me thinking even more so was about all these Amazon returns. And I don't know about you guys, right? I mean, I've had a lot. I haven't been able to go out shopping. And so, it again, that has got me rethinking sort of how I, would just say, well, I'll buy 3 pair of pants and I'll return them, if they don't fit. And so now I'm like, ooh, maybe I'm going to rethink that logic because of where all those items go, and not all of them actually get returned. And so, this concept that it can be anything. You could look anywhere in your home and your business and look at something that you might be able to change. And like Diane said, it may not seem that significant to you, but say you change something like Nancy writing on her tablet that impacted me. So now I'm looking at it. Well, then I go to somewhere else and they realize you don't have paper. So then that person now is saying, well, gosh, I'm going to use my tablet more so that I don't have paper, right? And then that person tells somebody, okay, before long, we may have impacted 20, 30 people that aren't using that much paper anymore. Now that can have a big impact. So I think that's really where I know I started with this. And to your point, Diane, where it has gone from here, and we're now, I can't go outside my house without picking trash up off the ground.
Amen. Yep.
Oh,
And I'm sure I posted something in with Andrea Ruiz Hayes, who was on West Channel 2, talking about what you can and can't recycle. To me, that's always been a puzzle.
yeah.
There are things that you can recycle, things you can't. And we always throw things away and put things in the recycle bin that don't belong in there. So that's another part of the conversation too.
Yeah, yeah. And I think and just so a lot of people know, and again, we this can go on, but with regards to recycling, definitely, don't put everything in there. Try to understand what they do locally. And there's even differences. I think this is something a lot of people don't realize. When I lived in the county over, it was completely different than this county. And then I've talked to my business owner friends, and even what they collect there is different, right? So don't just always assume. And if you're not sure, you probably want to throw it away. And I hope I said that correctly, but I know that's sort of what I've been taught is you're not sure, don't mess the recycling up if you're not sure. But there are a lot of people out there that can help you guys. So, and again, we have some great people, and I think there's a lot of conversation. So
Yeah.
I'd love to wrap up. I'm going to put a challenge out there to all of you guys. Now, I know, again, we've got some of you that are in this business space. And so I would love to have you guys, whether it be in the community or even on our Facebook page, but, let us know what you're doing. We would love to know that and tell those stories and share on what you were doing and how, you are bringing in this. And again, even if it's something simple that you're just going to try because you haven't yet. So keep that in mind. I'm going to keep prefacing that. And also reach out, Diane, myself, any of the team. I see Andrea put hers in there. Terry, we have great. And if you're over in the growth shift, this is a perfect place to reach out and get some support from some of our members.
Good.
Right. Well, thank you for joining us in the window, guys. It's always so fun to have you here, and we will see you next week for Coffee with the Corporate.